In this country right now, we have this phenomena of the positive thinking, that our whole existence is created by the way that we think. And you said earlier that there were so many things that were involved in the creative process and our creative experience. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Everyone is responsible for their circumstances based on their thinking process, how they think, solely.
So how you think? See, in these cultures, definitely you have given too much significance to your thought process, too much. It's the Western philosophers who went to this extreme. One of the, the Renaissance philosophers said, "I think, so I exist." So that is the level of significance you've given for thought. But you tell me, from your own simple sense, you tell me, which is true? Is it because you exist you think, or is it because you think you exist? Because you exist, you think, isn't it? Because you have not known life any other way except thinking. Now you have made it all important. Now, for me, there is no thought. If I simply sit here, I will sit here without a single thought on my mind. Does it mean I'm not existing? I'm existing, absolutely existing. Because I'm existing in such a powerful way, thought is just a small happening for me. My thought is just a small happening for me in my life. I can think, it's not that I'm incapable of thinking. I can think, but still it is a very small happening because my existence is far, far bigger than my thought. Now people are trying to make their thought far bigger than their existence. This whole positive thinking in the 60s, 70s, a few people made it very popular. Big names, almost all of them. Either they went neurotic, they broke up mentally and ended up in mental asylums, or they committed suicide. Because it's bound to happen. If you stretch the intellect beyond a certain point, you will crack up. You'll definitely crack up. So, thought being so important is a very unhealthy way to approach life. Initially it'll give you the thrill because you can create a few things with your thought. See, if you generate a powerful thought, you can make certain things happen. You can have a certain power over other people and situations. This will give you a high, but it is not an ultimate solution to life. You may be effective in the world, but within yourself you're still a mess. What is the point? What is the point? Right now that's what you're doing with… See, with education and other things, your thought is developed to some extent. You're effective in the world, you can do things efficiently, you can earn money, you can be successful, everybody thinks you're great, but you're a mess within yourself. This is happening to lots of so-called successful people, isn't it so? Yes? You see all the stars in the world, the whole world worships them and they think they're great, but most of them are just breaking down, isn't it? Looking good, you want to look good in 10 people's eyes. That's not going to change the experience of your life. If you sit here, you're absolutely blissful. This is what changes the experience of your life. What somebody else thinks about you, why is it so important? Or what you think about yourself, why is it so important? Whatever you think about yourself, whatever the whole world thinks about you, has no existential relevance. Whatever you're thinking right now has no existential relevance. It is only psychological relevance, maybe social relevance, but no existential relevance, isn't it so? Can I tell you a joke? Are you okay? Any kind of joke? No. Once it happened, Pope died. Not this one, previous one. Pope died, and naturally, he went to heaven. He came to the gates of heaven. There's Saint Peter, sitting on a tall security stool, smoking a Cuban cigar. It's not banned there. Looked at this man who came with a strange cap and all that. He looked at him and said, "Who are you?" He blew a plume of smoke into Pope's face and asked, "Who are you?" Pope was aghast. "How dare you talk to me like this? You don't know who I am? I am the Pope." "Okay, man, every day all kinds of people come with tall stories. You have a tall cap too, it's all right. Tell me, who are you?" He said, "I am the Pope. How dare you talk to me like this? I am God's representative on the planet." Peter looked at him and said, "Okay, move on. Not this way, not into the gate." He said, "Move on." He said, "How dare you say this to me? I am God's representative, you ask him if you want." Peter said, "All right." He raised his voice. It's very busy. He raised his voice and said, "Hey boss, there is somebody here who claims to be your representative on the planet. His name is Pope. Do you know him?" A grave voice from inside said, "I do not know anyone like that." "Boss doesn't know you, move on." Pope was, "What is this?" He was distraught. "How can this be? How can the old man say he doesn't know me? Oh, it must be Alzheimer's." "Okay, you do one thing. You ask Jesus. He knows. He knows. I am his representative on the planet." Peter said, "Okay," and he raised his voice and said, "Hey Sonny, there's somebody here who claims to be your representative on the planet. His name is Pope. Do you know him?" A gentle voice from inside said, "I do not know anyone like that." "Sonny doesn't know you, enough man, move on. I heard enough from you." By now Pope was totally, how can this be? They're not letting him enter the heaven after being a Pope. He said, "Well, you ask the Holy Ghost. He knows me, I am his representative on the planet." Peter once again raised his voice and said, "Hey Spooky, there is somebody here who claims to be your representative on the planet. His name is Pope. Do you know him?" A mischievous voice from inside said, "Ah, Pope, is he here? He's the one who spread all those malicious stories about me and Mary. Don't you let him in." What you think, you can think whatever you want. I can think whatever I want. The whole world can think something about me. It has no existential relevance. It has only psychological and social relevance. So when we say a spiritual process, we are talking about an existential dimension, not a psychological dimension, not a social dimension. So, with thought, if you generate a certain amount of powerful thought, you can create certain life situations around you. But with that, you cannot know the ultimate. But there is something within you which wants to expand and know, isn't it? How much ever comfort you provide, how much ever well-being you provide from outside, there is something within you which will not settle. There's something within you which will not settle. It is just, you may avoid it. You may avoid it by watching the television. You may avoid it by going to the movies. You may avoid it by reading a book. You may avoid it in conversation with somebody. That's why you keep yourself so busy, just to avoid it. But if you sit down for some time and just look at your life, you will see everything feels empty and you want to do something else. It's always there. Either you address it or you don't address it, but it's always there. You can use your thought to create physical situations. But you cannot existentially move on by using thought because it has only psychological and social relevance to life.